We're live. Okay. You see how professional I am with this. But welcome to another quarantine live stream that I do sometimes. And I have a special guest today. His name is Brian Nilson. No. That gonna mess that up again. Wilson Nilson.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, he's the owner of Nilson Laboratories. Many of you seen him on Facebook posting stuff, so I've been waiting to get him on, and we can talk about the newest stuff he's doing. But I first want to start with, first off, Brian, thanks for coming on. And how'd you get started in this business?
Actually, my stepfather had an orthodontic lab, and at one point I was looking for a job, and it worked out well. I stayed there for about, I think it took about 2 years to get on my own.
That doesn't seem long at all.
The whole goal was to be able to work at home because I had bad factory jobs at that time, and I wanted to see my kid grow up.
Yeah. So is this recent? Like
no, that was 22 years ago.
Oh wow!
It's been a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
It's been an interesting road.
So so you came off the street not knowing anything.
Correct. I ended up going to the classes at Great Lakes. Back then they had some at Denturum as well. I took a few in that way. I also took the Wyronium classes at Bago, and that was for cast partials. And just kept adding things to the lab as much as I could.
So your stepfather, was it an ortho lab or was it a full service?
He was just an orthodontist.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you were like in-house lab.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. I missed that part. So you started getting into, from some of your pictures, from me Facebook stalking you, it looks like you do, I've seen dentures, I've seen crowns.
Pretty much a little bit of everything, but not a lot of it.
Right.
We've been primarily, I'd say, 80% ortho throughout the duration. And then at one time, I'm thinking about 10 years ago, the lab had a bad financial fall. And I ended up starting at a jewelry store, doing custom work. That did well for a while. But once the dental started picking up, I had to leave that.
Well, there's a lot of times I've seen the jewelry space and the dental space, they tend to blend. Yeah, they work out real well. We work with a lot of the same equipment.
Yep, especially with all the casting equipment, and the welding stuff.
Using the lost wax technique to create a wax ring and then cast it out and stuff. Yeah,
when I had the store, I got our first 3D printer, which was a B9. And you had to, back then, you had to get them as parts and build them. And then you had to mix your own resin. And
oh, wow.
It was a lot of work.
Around what year was this?
It's got to be 8 or 9 years.
Oh, wow. You've been in the 3D printing world
for a while now.
A lifetime for most of us, because I started September of last year was my first 3D printer. So, actually, no, I take that back.
I think I'd have to say the last 2 years for ortho labs, at least, the 3D printing has really taken off.
Yeah.
And it's been a good time to get into it. For the jewelry, it started earlier because we're printing such small things.
Yeah.
And it worked well for, we could cast rings with the settings all set up for the stones to be put in place. I never really got good at cast in place, which was basically you take the wax ring and you pop the stones in and then invest it and cast it.
I guess because the heat doesn't affect the stones.
Some of them.
Oh, so if you got good ones.
Yeah, You can do that with rubies, sapphires, and diamonds. But it's not without problems.
Right.
So that I had to step aside from that as the dental world got busier.
Right. Yeah. That. Well, you may have to go back into jewelry a little bit after what's happened in today's economy.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. But what you're doing now, and again, we'll get into that. But that's interesting. You said about the 3D printer that you got in so early because one of your pictures that I'll show in a little bit, you have a picture of like 4 or 5 different types of printers, 3D printers.
It's what I'm down to right now.
Down to. So you had even
It'll
more.
last forever.
Right. Yeah. That's one of the. I got a Form 2, and I've had it for a year and a half.
Yep.
When I spoke before, I meant September of 2018. But I don't abuse it, so it's lasted for a while, and I don't do anything experimental on it. But I've realized you've got to come to realize that they wear out. They're like any precision piece of machinery.
Yeah, they won't last forever.
Right.
But you take care of them. I'm on a lot of pages on Facebook for different printers.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say 70% of the problems are just abuse.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been putting them in the lab with all the dust, and they're having to clean their mirrors all the time, especially with the Form 2. Yeah. So I think you nailed it right there. 70% is probably abuse. You got to take care of these things like you would a cell phone.
Yeah. The picture you have of all those printers together, that's in a new room that I built, that's going to be sealed off so that it's dust free.
Oh,
that's the goal of that.
That's my plans too. I'm building a lab building on my land that we're purchasing at the moment. And I want a separate room for the office and printers to be with a door and everything to keep it separate from the production area.
Right. Get ventilation for the IPA.
Right.
That's gotten worse over time.
Yeah. Right now it's in our dining room, but it's right by a sliding glass door, so I can open that if it gets real bad.
Yeah.
And I go out and clean it on the porch.
It's best to be able to breathe fresh air with that.
Yeah, that can get.
We don't really know what's left in the IPA that's getting aerosol when we're cleaning.
Good point. Yeah.
So it's not really the alcohol I'm worried about.
It's the other things that are getting evaporated with the alcohol out. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that before. But I got a Form wash.
Yep.
And it seems to do a real good job of keeping the smell in. You don't ever smell it until that lid opens up and the thing raises up.
Yeah, I haven't used one of those yet. We have a large wash station that is a 40-gallon barrel underneath it.
Oh God!
And then I also like to use magnetic stirrers.
Yes.
And those work really well.
Yeah, that's pretty much what the Form wash is. A simple
magnetic stirrer.
It holds 2 gallons of IPA, and it's got a big magnetic stirrer and a basket that raises in and out. I mainly wanted it because I know myself, and I would leave stuff in the IPA, even if I had a timer. So this thing raises up out of the IPA without me thinking after 10 minutes or however long it calls for. But a 60-gallon drum of...
Well, that's filled with a different clean material.
Oh, okay.
I experiment with a lot of different things.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I love to hear that. Oh, we got some people saying hello. Luciano from Brazil.
Hello.
Hello. And Tino. I forget where you're from, Tino. You have to remind me. Hello again. And I cannot say this, but hello.
Yeah.
Let me... let's move to how this affected your lab individually? How many people do you have? People working for you?
We have
How
three.
big? Three. Okay.
So not very big.
It's bigger than just my wife and I, which that's our lab. But do what?
Sometimes that's better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So see, it got everything changed pretty quickly. Let's say I can't remember exactly the date. I thought today was Tuesday. I work kind of. I had full shelf, and it took about a week to weed through that, and nothing's come in except for maybe 6 or 7 jobs, one crown bridge, a couple dentures.
That I guess that helps that you're pretty much full service, and to me you're a true full service, because most labs that claim they're full service, they don't include ortho. They're saying, oh, we do crowns and dentures and RPDs, so we're full service, and I'm like, no, you're not. You don't have ortho in there.
Yeah.
So, oh, okay, you're from Ukraine, yeah, and then M. Rau. I'm saying that totally. See, I'm from Texas. I can't do that, but from Canada. Tino is saying there's an echo heard from your side, but I don't hear it. I think there's just music playing in the background.
Rose, can you turn off the radio? I don't know if that's causing it.
Yeah, I hear it's not bothering me, but it might be coming through on their end.
Actually, let me go do it.
Okay. Oh, Tino's from Mexico. I forgot about that. Yes. One of these days I'll have you all memorized. So that's one thing to look forward to.
Not sure if that's better.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is, for sure. Okay. But Tino's from Mexico, so he's listening from down south. So what did you have to do with your 3 employees?
Well, I set them up pretty quickly with furloughing.
Okay.
One of them ran away right away.
Ran away? Like, was wanting to leave this whole time?
And then I think I'm bringing them in like 2 or 3 times a week to work on things.
That's a great time to clean and build a 3D printing room. And
I've been waiting to do that for a long time.
It's one of those on your to-do list, but keeps getting pushed off because of all the work.
Yeah, and to take everything down and offline is tough.
Oh yeah, yeah, I totally see. Oh, we got Andrew. I think that's how you say that. That must be your first name. But anyway, so I was able to get the payroll protection program because my wife and I were on payroll together. So I was really lucky to get that before it all ran out of money.
Yeah, we didn't get the PPP. We did get a little bit from the idle loan.
Mm-hmm.
But that was it.
I couldn't really prove that. Well, I went to looking at it. I couldn't really prove yet that I was damaged by the economic crisis, but now I can. Because ortho's weird. To me, we build up work for a month and get paid the next month.
Yeah.
So May's going to really suck. April, we're doing okay because we're feeding off of what. And I was real lucky that a lot of my doctors are paying their bills on time.
We've been lucky with that.
Let's see. I'm going to see if I can. Let's get back to the start of the pictures. I think that's going to be a good place to start. And let's switch, and hopefully I don't do a bad job of. Oh, there we go.
I included that photo because that's the material we were first starting with. It was a surgical guide resin, so it's hard, like kind of like a night guard.
Yeah. So was it FDA approved for like temporary in the mouth, or is this
Correct.
full on FDA approved for long term wear in the mouth?
It was basically we used this because it was approved for use in the mouth, and it would make it easier for the process of getting the swabs.
Okay.
And unfortunately, though, it's brittle. And we went through a lot of testing and printing them and bringing them up to Boston to have them tested out. And it was promising, but it didn't prove to work at the end.
But I guess because there's probably a lot of bend, when they're actively swabbing, and you don't want to break off a piece up in the navel cavity. I don't know if they don't have to go as deep anymore, right?
They have to go pretty deep.
Oh, they do. Okay, they still do.
If you bring it back up to full,
do what?
If you bring my picture up of me right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this, if I can line it up, this is one of the early swabs.
Oh, I see a bend in it. Yeah.
You can see that's about the size of my finger.
Oh my goodness.
All the way about here is where it goes in.
Oh.
And it goes up your nose. It goes
into
all the way over the top of your palate. The graphic photo show it a little bit. It doesn't have to go all the way in that way, and then it collects back there and you pull it out.
Okay.
It has to be able to bend to get past any deviated septum or whatever.
Because everybody's different.
Right. And this one is a break. That's why they were fit. We were able to get them so they could bend that much, even though it's real. But the problem is, where it's thicker, they couldn't handle much. After, if this one were to work, after you stick it in, the technician would break it off like that, stick it in the vial with the solution, and ship it off.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you needed it breakable, but yet bendable. It's almost like two different materials, but that's the same material.
Right. And what we came up with in the end, the Envision Tech worked real late at night. And we ended up using a soft material that's very elastic. You can tie it into it.
Wow.
And the tip part of it can flex.
That's amazing.
So, there were some other companies working towards this, and everybody hit different stumbling blocks. This one ended up winning over because we could sterilize it in a regular autoclave.
But it broke up a little bit. You could or could not sterilize it.
You could sterilize.
Oh, in a.
So I put these in a pouch. Let's see. Everybody's seen these.
Yeah.
You just put them in the pouch and then put them in the autoclave, and they come out fine.
Now, well, let's back up a little bit. How did you get involved in this testing? You told me that you can now talk about it, and you couldn't talk about it before, like an NDA agreement almost.
Right, we had those. Basically, Al Sabini from Nilson Tech had put out a message on Facebook saying, does anybody near Boston have an E1 printer and E-guide resin?
Okay.
So, and that was the resin that we made the first handout of. I volunteered, and we started printing this test samples. And in the photos, there's short little bars.
Yeah, let me. Those are short little bars.
Yeah.
That one.
There's a razor blade next to it.
I'll go back. Let's see. There's a razor blade. Okay.
That would be it.
Okay. So that's what your test prints were?
Yep. I can't screen. I don't know if it's up or not.
Oh. I clicked the wrong thing. My bad. I got to add it first. There we go. Okay.
There we go. So the first part of the testing was to see if the material would adversely affect the solution in the test, as far as I understood it. So these bars were made and then brought up to the doctor that was in charge of the microbiology department at Harvard.
Oh, wow.
So the first job was to get these up to him. And I ran them up. And then I think about 3 days later, we heard that it was fine and that they accepted the material.
So this is the stuff, they were going to put it in the solution that the swab goes in.
Correct. And they wanted to make sure that it didn't leach. If I'm understanding it correctly, they wanted to make sure it didn't leach anything into the test or ruin it anyway.
And well, then that's why the FDA approval of the material for surgical guides, they want to make sure it doesn't leach in the mouth. Right. So this is the same concept. So it's great that they already had that resin on hand.
And it was a lot different than anything I usually print. Usually we have our little protocols, but it's dental. We're used to that. This had to be handled very carefully. Changed gloves for everything that we touched, and I packaged them up all individually.
All the little tiny rods individually?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that they got home and nothing could go wrong with them.
Right.
Between me and when they tested them, because they passed through a bunch of hands.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah. So after that was done, we started playing around with the different designs that Envision Tech was coming up with. So let's see. I think we started on version like 7 or something, and we ended up with 32 versions in the end.
Wow. Yeah, this one I'm on right now. Looks like there's a bunch of different versions.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I stayed up a lot at night. This is one of the earlier versions. The closer they are together, the more likely they are to flex and then touch once, and then they glue themselves together and it destroys the print.
Oh my gosh.
So this was an earlier design with this guide resin. And as you know with printing, sometimes something goes wrong and you got to start over. This was like a 2.5 hour print.
Well, that's my next question was how long of a print did this one take, as opposed to your
to regular stuff.
Yeah, to all those.
All right, they're Envision Tech's been working to try to get the print speed up, and in fact, I'm running a test print again right now. They've been getting some success with about a 4-hour print, and they're trying to narrow it down even more. So it's like 7 inches long in a very slow, soft resin.
And like you said, you've got to go slower so they don't flex and touch another one. Or did y'all figure that out by the separation?
The separation had to be figured out. So now I don't know what the measurement is right now, but you can't clump them together too tight. I think right now we're fitting 410 swabs on one print.
I thought you said 410?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought you were doing like 400, and it just blows my mind.
Yeah, most of the ones that I've done were done on a 420 piece print.
Now, are you helping to actually design these in software, or are they sending you files?
For the most part, in Vision Tech was sending everything.
Okay.
A couple late nights, I did hop in and give some ideas through CAD designs that I came up with. But they had some people there, and they kept tweaking the design a little bit. Some of the designs would come in the swab with hollow, and then I'd print them and find out that they break, and we'd add a center support for the next version. It's just a lot of back and forth.
Yeah. That's and I don't know if you've ever read the book by Daniel Suarez. It's called Freedom TM trademark. Another, just enough in the future to where enough in the future that it does actual things that could happen. This was done in 2012. Anyway, the world ended, sort of had a apocalyptic event or whatever. But then all these little print hubs started popping up, and you could get parts made by going to these little stores that have a 3D printer, and they could print anything you needed. And that's how the economy progressed. And I'm starting to think, Envision Tech's kind of seeing this.
Yep. They were really forward thinking for this. And this printer itself is capable of continuous printing. So when you look at your form printer, the bed goes down, it moves up, and then it goes down again, but a little bit higher than last time.
Right.
With this one, the bed will go down, and it'll just go up a little bit, up a little bit, up a little bit. And so it cuts the speed. It doubles the speed.
Wow. So the bed starts at its lowest position,
and then just going up.
The last layer, and then weird. Okay.
Has an oxygen generator that runs to it, and the clear window that you usually see in your printer that's being protected through. They pass oxygen through it, and it acts like air hockey tape. And that creates that separation. It's rid of the separation forces, and it can just grow.
So they almost blow it clear, whereas the Form Lab it shifts to the right and drops down, or drops down and shifts to the right.
When you get a really hard print, it has trouble popping up.
Yeah.
This eliminates that.
Is there any issues with cupping since it uses that method?
No, I haven't seen any. When it goes down, how can I best describe it? I actually don't even understand all of it. Al's a better one to speak about that. But yeah, you have no forces against the material being pulled up, so you can print a much thinner, more detailed, delicate item. There's some microscope shots that I sent you.
Yes. Yeah. Let me pull that up real quick. Oh, here we go. Here's one. And let's.
There you go.
So some of the pictures you posted look like a bunch of little rings that were just like chain linked together.
Polygon, all interconnected links. They're pretty much hollow on one side, but with a shaft going through most of the center.
See, that when I first heard of Envision Tech trying to come up with swabs, I was like, how are they going to replicate cotton, or the fibrous material at the end that collects the organisms?
Was at the podium, people cotton swab tip. He's like, these aren't hard to make. That's not what we're making. It's a different beast.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, but it sounds like you were saying something about cotton swabs not hurting the patient.
No, when Trump was making his plan to have us make these.
Oh, Oh, gotcha.
He was holding up a cot.
Oh, gotcha. Somebody handed him the wrong one to display.
Try without that and see if that's better.
Oh, say that again.
Want me to try without the headphones?
Yeah, if it's quiet enough in there, try it without the headphones. See if that.
See, maybe that's right.
Okay.
Still a little bit.
Yeah. I think it's. I'm hearing a lot of echo in there.
Okay.
Let's see.
There we go.
Yeah, the sound is a lot better. Yeah, it was just. It might be my internet connection. I might have to text my son to get off the internet.
When all this started, my first reaction was to try to stay busy. We started working on making masks and trying that out. I 3D printed a shell and then would vacuum form the mouthguard material over it.
Yes. Yeah. Let me send one picture. Let me pull that up.
Yeah.
So that was you duplicated a real mask, right?
We 3D printed one of the designs that was out there.
Oh yeah.
And then I sized it for the ProForm printer. And then we started vacuum forming these. Just because the printed ones were hard and soft materials expensive. So the mouthguard materials were cheap.
Right.
But then the swabs kind of took over.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Definitely testing the testing kits have been a big deal, trying to get as bunch of those made as possible. And is this a generic testing kit? Meaning, can these be used?
All we're doing is making this swab, and the hospital has to come up with the vial and the solution. And I think Abbott Labs is doing something with rapid test. I don't know much about that.
Oh wow, okay.
So I think that was an earlier build plate. So what else do you have in there?
Yeah, I keep taking this off. Go back. All right. So we have
that picture there. Those were the test samples, the little ones. And that's the doctor up at Harvard that was running the program.
No, where was Al Silbini? Where's he located?
If I'm correct, it's in Michigan.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's right. That's where the Vision Techs are built. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was neat. I got to work with a lot of them, and through the internet, and some late nights trying to re-coordinate and change the designs. It was almost always a late night, early run in the morning, but it was worth it.
Yeah, I totally understand. That was definitely worth it, and it kept you busy and your mind off of other. What are you doing?
Definitely kept my mind busy.
My son's trying to crash our talk here.
That's all right.
Let's see. Oh, I had this pulled up. I was trying to.
Yeah, click past their banner. Yeah, that swab design isn't what we ended up using at all.
It looks totally different than.
There were a lot of different designs.
Nasopharyngeal swab. Okay. Yeah, I was. Oh, here we go.
That's the design there.
Yeah. The one on the right is the
correct.
Okay.
The center shaft doesn't go all the way up, and that way when you hit the back of the nasal passage, it doesn't. It's got a little spring to it. Yeah, it's not a stabby.
Found it.
And then all the holes are to just kind of collect the mucus or whatever.
Pull
it back out.
DNA in the tissue, and oh, look at that bend. Yeah, that's exactly what you were showing us.
Yep. Yeah, the flexibility after sterilization was important. And they, Al and his team, so one night in particular, I remember we thought it was over, that we weren't going to be able to go forward because these kept breaking, no matter what the design. And then they played around with the formula for a softer resin, and it ended up working. They overnighted a bottle for me.
Okay, so I was wondering. So this isn't, you can't, like somebody with a Envision One couldn't print tomorrow. They'd have to get a bottle of this from.
Right. Everything is set up in it's an IFU, instruction for use.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, you have to have the printer that the FDA has been told will be making these. You have to wash it in IPA with following the right instructions. It has to be light cured in the right oven, and they have to be dried specifically and packaged specifically. It was very different than dental.
Yeah, that's crazy. And you helped come up with a lot of this before you started printing, or do they have to come up with this, then send it to you and say, do you have this type of light cure oven? And
so when we decided to try to sterilize them and see if they could handle that, an account of mine, Glastonbury Dental Center, Dr. Finch lent me his M11 sterilizer, and I brought it to the lab, and we started packaging them up and testing the sterilization, and they worked, much to our surprise sometimes.
Yeah.
And after we tested them and we thought it was working, we sent them back up, and then they would test them on patients and give us the review of it. Probably like I think this one, version number 31, was just about perfect, and they just wanted to tip around it over a little bit. Al had the CAD guy over there change the file a little bit, and they sent me new files, and then the next morning I was running up another batch.
Wow.
It kept me very busy.
Yeah. You didn't even have to worry about the business because you're just doing this to keep your mind busy.
Even if nothing came of it, it kept me busy enough that it was worth it for that.
Well, I'm sure you learned a lot about for 3D printing and medical devices and things like that, and the processes.
It showed me how much more capable this machine was than my other ones. I kind of, and Al talked me into buying it in December, and I wasn't entirely sure of what I'd be using it for. It turned out to be one of the better investments I've made.
Yeah, I know. Steve Zara got one, and then he really, from what I can tell, he really likes it, and was like, "Hey, when are you gonna get one?" I was like, "Well, when I get 10 grand or whatever." But
it's not cheap, but when you look inside it, you can see why. It's not a regular.
Now is it dental specific? Do they
make printers for everything? I think if you go on their site, you see them printing like heart valves.
Oh yeah,
they have an amazing array of services that they can do. Part of the swab test that was going on was they had a resin for, if I'm correct, it was for hearing aids, and that's kind of where some of this came from.
Oh yeah, I guess that would need to be soft to do the ear canal, nose canal. What's the difference?
Or if you went to an audiologist, they'd take a alginate impression, and later on they'd use silicone and just stuff it in your ear, just like a dental tech.
You know, we were talking beforehand how we were involved with the church bands, and well, our worship minister had that done. So he got in-ears, and they sent it back a week later, and it's got this soft thing, and he puts it in, fits his ear exactly. But he talked about getting that stuff squirted in his ear, and it was the weirdest thing he ever had done.
Yeah, that job is oddly similar to ours, where the technician will basically there are like a lot of in-house lab techs where they take the impression from the ear, nose, and throat doctor, and the audiologist take the impression, make the mold, make the silicone part, and attach. In your friend's case, there's a little microphone.
Right. Yeah. That it sounds very similar to what we do. So I got the picture of your printers up, and the Vision one on the right. I don't know the one in the middle.
That's a transform. It's so the one all with the little black one is a what is that called? It's a Shuffle kind of brand. I think it was $1,200. And then they came out with a huge version of it called the Transform. On that one, I do I think about 40 aligner arches. It's just got a massive print bed.
So the one on the left, you're breaking up a little bit, but you said that can do 40 aligner arches.
The one in the middle.
The big one in the middle. Okay.
Yeah. It was an inexpensive one. I think it was just under $3,000.
Oh yeah, that's not bad at all.
And for that I use Apply Labs resin, and it's nice and stable. I use that on the form too.
You use the Apply Lab resins on the form also.
Right.
Okay. Well, that makes it nice. You can use the same resin in two of the machines.
Yeah, I did. Early on, I didn't trust the setup for form. I had if you have a failed print on the form and you're using a wiper, it destroys the entire print.
Oh, it just starts sloshing it around, and
I take the wiper off. I stop dealing with the auto feed, and I just fill it in open mode, and I don't have as many problems.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people doing that, and I think Josh Dobson had a hashtag that says "No more wiper" because he stopped using. I haven't had a problem, but again, I don't do anything crazy. I just print.
I made it still with mine like the first month, and it had a bad print. It sloshed it around, ruined it, and then when I cleaned it up and went to reprint, it over flooded the resin tray, and from there I wasn't going to use it.
Oh wow,
it's been a good little printer.
Yeah, I consider myself lucky because I've never had a failed print. I'm probably jinxing myself right now, but like I said, 70% of problems are abuse. Not saying yours was abuse, but me watching people like you and hearing y'all's warnings, which has been great about the Facebook group.
It's been helpful.
Yeah. So you say, don't do this. We're learning from y'all's mistakes. The people like you have been in it for almost a decade of 3D printing.
Yeah. It's been a long road.
Yeah. And then your Vision 1 is the biggest one.
Right.
And
the loudest.
And the what?
It's the loudest.
Is it really?
There's a oxygen generator underneath it. So kind of like what somebody with emphysema would have.
Oh. Okay.
And that fills the air hockey table of a resin tray.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Because I was trying to picture, and all I can picture is a vacuum pump on a furnace for porcelain. It generates oxygen and pumps it into there.
rather than using bottled gas.
Well, and I'm wondering, what does the oxygen? Does it? Is there a reason for the actual component oxygen, and why not nitrogen? Or
I'm not sure. I'm sure you could put nitrogen in there, and that got brought up during the process of making these swabs. But we decided it wouldn't have helped at all. Nitrogen's a shielding gas.
right, yeah, kind of like argon and with the
welder.
Almost said laser printers. Wow, yeah, the laser welders, which, to be said, that's how you and I started talking. Is I was making these things, the
T-Rexes.
Yeah, the what they call mini distillizing appliances, and I could not find anywhere the 200 RPEs with the sheaths on them. And you're like, well, I'll send you some, and so that's been great. I thank you for that, and I've got some coming out to you to attach for me. But
so it's gotten a lot better over the years too. I had one of the first ones. It's a nightmare compared to a new one.
Well, and it was one of the articles I was just reading, and you were saying you had a TIG.
Right.
TIG welder. Is it for this industry or another industry?
No, it was for this industry. I saw them more in the jewelry field first. But my trade coming out of high school was TIG welding.
Oh, wow.
Kind of stuck. That's why I go that direction rather than laser.
You're familiar with that and how it reacts, and is TIG welding, and it shoots out a wire, right?
No, that's MIG welding.
MIG welding, okay.
Yeah, you have stick, which you have the handle, the electrode that gets eaten up.
Yes.
The MIG shoots the wire out, and TIG uses a tungsten wire to transfer the electrical charge to the metal. And traditionally, you feed a wire into it as you're welding along. If you're welding like aluminum bicycles or something.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm still getting echo. Yeah. I don't hear echo on my end.
I hear a lot of echo.
You do too? Okay, yeah. So that's it's all on my end. So that's I apologize, everyone. Hopefully the post-processing will take it out, because I don't hear it on my end. And I've unplugged every audio device on my stream here.
I don't know.
It might be my web browser is doing something weird.
You're only a few miles away.
Yeah. So you're in Connecticut,
right?
And I'm here in Texas, which we can see each other great, and that's what's been great about this pandemic hitting at this point in time, is the technological advances of homeschooling, using virtual, and then using devices like this to talk to each other. And then, it just went away. So I'm okay. I clicked a button, everybody. I saved it. Kelly, thank you for letting me know. It went away. Oh, he said it was me that's echoing. So maybe I've clicked the button and fixed it.
It's above my pay grade.
It's not you, it's Brian. Oh, no, I'm reading that backwards. Sorry, Avanzada, the thing came in. It's Brian. Okay. So Kelly just said it went away. Thank you, Kelly, for letting us know.
Probably goes away when I don't talk.
But anyway, I think what I was getting at with the laser welder, that's probably gonna be my next purchase. I probably need an Envision Tech next, but I think I got to get a laser welder next, because talking about the future of dentistry, I'm getting a lot of doctors wanting me to fit my own bands on 3D printed models, and right now I'm duplicating. And I guess you're past that.
For some cases, for some accounts. I am. It's kind of different depending on the doctor and whether or not they're sending me the bands, whether I'm buying the bands and I'm comfortable with them. Everybody seems to be a little different. So I'll have to. I think I duplicate for maybe 2 accounts, and the rest of them I'm just fitting right on the model. I have one of my techs ditch the models virtually, and we fit them on there.
See, I need to start getting into that because once I get a laser welder, I'm not going to duplicate, and I'm probably not going to want to ditch with a burr. I've done that a little bit.
We print the models hollow because resin cost is everything now, and so if I print the models hollow, I can't not ditch them digitally because then there'll be nothing to cut into.
Right.
So we ditch them, and I've played around with. I know is it Inman prints the impression.
Shell. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I've done that with some success a couple times. I'm kind of hoping I think I might be going in that direction when we get back on our feet again.
And I want to. That's a great idea. That's a great way to experiment with that. But when I ditch, when my wife duplicates, I have her take the extra fill it in there, because it comes out like that. Of course, these are all, but I have her fill in the extra with plaster so that when I do go to grind on to ditch the tooth, if I go into the hollow part, it's filled with plaster. So
right. Yeah, the plastic model fits completely different though. As far as fitting a band, it's a different world.
I've noticed
a lot of trouble with that, and it seems to be across the board. Everyone's assuring me that they're having troubles too. So.
Well, that makes me feel better. I'm used to fitting bands on plaster models, so duplicating right now, I don't mind it because I feel like I get a better. I can feel it better, I guess.
Yeah, it's been a new world for the last 2 years, and if you got into it a year ago, you're still right in the good time to get into it. There was any earlier, and you were just. I mean, there were some big players that got into it early, and they did fine with it. But for smaller labs, a couple of years ago was a good time to get in.
And there's an article coming out, and they interviewed me for it. I think it's in the JDT about niche markets, and that's what I was saying. I was saying a few years ago, only the big boys, the big labs, could afford a 3D printer, and now it's become affordable. Small labs like myself can get one. And
so the reason why I got the Envision printer in the first place is I wanted to be able to. I was tired of making dentures traditionally, and that was a major decision point for me. It was because I saw the quality of the denture that came out of it. I jumped in on that. It makes a really nice denture, and I think it's going to be able to do flexible dentures pretty well too now.
Oh, that'd be great. Now, is this? Let me show you what I'm showing here. Oops, that is not right. Okay, is this isn't 3D printed, is it?
Yep, it is.
That's 3D printed? Are you serious?
Yeah. That was actually one of the last cases I sent out before all this happened. And then that was printed on the E1 printer with their resin. I think it was a shade. It's like an A1. It starts with. I only got one color resin because I'm just going to characterize them myself.
Okay.
So that you can't see it, but that has. I think both of the bicuspids are hollow. They're meant to go over a post, and I think maybe one of the centrals, but it printed right out. It gets cured, and the more of the instructions for use. The FDA, you have to use the light box that they designed for it. So it goes into this auto flash unit and cures it up, and then I glazed and characterized it with GC product. It's like it looks like a little lunch box with little bottles of different colors, just like a ceramicist would use.
Oh, really? I was wondering what it looked like because I'm sure you don't you don't bake it in.
No.
You light cure it on or
right. You take that out of the printer and you break off any supports. Not too many on there because there's no separation forces with this printer, so you can print very few supports. And I just kind of polished it up a little bit and then sandblasted the whole thing so that I had a nice clean surface. And I applied a glaze, and then for that one I used 3 different colors. There's some like an ochre color in between the teeth to give a little shadow. There's a little gray up by the incisal edges to make it look more transparent. And then there's a couple glazing options that you like here over that. And it's amazingly hard. I got, and in the ortho world, most people didn't hear about it, but maybe 10 years ago, a product called Bell Glass came out for Crown and Bridge. And I bought into that and spent thousands of dollars on it. And I think I made $2,000 worth of crowns on the thing. It was horrible. With this one already, it's better than that Bell Glass material. It's FDA approved from what I understand, for use in the mouth for up to a year, because it hasn't been studied much longer than that. But it's looking like it's going to last a lot longer.
Oh, that's great. So right now, temporaries, plastic.
Yeah. Right.
This is an acrylic.
It's basically a very long-term temporary.
Okay. It's going to look so good, people are never going to come in to get the real ones. So there's some real-world testing for you.
I've been told not to make them look too good when they're for temp work, but this is meant to last as long as it can. So, and that's the same material we use for dentures too, except we print the denture base in a pink material and then print the teeth, and then you take the base and you put a little bit of liquid in a little bit of the light cure liquid in each socket, and then you take those teeth and you snap them right in and light cure it, and it's done. They come out great.
Well, and with me putting on conferences and being involved with a lot of conferences, this digital denture thing is probably the #1 talked about thing.
Right.
And it's the first time I've thought about, because I went to lab school, I made dentures, and that's a long, messy, ugly process. And one of the reasons I didn't go with denture.
Yeah, dentures are pretty bad. I think, in my opinion, cast partials are the worst thing.
Oh, yes.
They're the most difficult thing in dentistry to make. But that's why I'm hoping we can print the flexibles and get away from that.
Well, the flexibles are going to add so much more to it. I was going to pull up some pictures of so this Envision 1 is making, you're selling me on this. Yeah, mine's SLA. Yeah.
Right. The speed is incredible. So even though it has a smaller build plate, it's so fast it doesn't really matter.
Well, yeah, because my Form 2, I'll print 6 at a time, and it's like 4 hours.
Right.
Whereas you could probably do. How fast do you think you could do 6?
I think Steve Stars has done the speed test, but if I'm correct, like 20 minutes, something like that. They're flat.
It's unbelievable.
Faster soon. But I haven't done a lot of model printing with it. My intention with the Envision 1 was to print direct in the mouth things. I print night guards with it. I print the dentures with it, the surgical guides, like some of the Crown and Bridge stuff. So I kind of wanted to try to get as far away from making the model and making something on the model as I could. I've done some kind of like Holly work. I've been playing around with taking and printing the like the retainer, the acrylic part of the retainer, with a box to apply the screw, and adding wires and ball clasps, and that's been pretty successful.
And I had thought about doing the same thing where you print like a shell of acrylic with things you can snap a wire into. So you bend the wires, you snap it in, and then maybe fill in the. I meant to experiment with that, but
after all of this stuff with the swabs, it seems like we're getting closer to being able to make something really interesting for Hollies and orthodontic retainers. And if I can take this and bend it, the things that we can do with this material now are going to get really interesting after this. I think Envision Tech really kind of pushed the envelope to get these swabs made, and came up with some really interesting things. And yeah, I'm excited to play with it once all of this COVID stuff is done.
Yeah.
If it ever does.
Well, yeah, and I'm hoping we can keep up on. I was going to show. Here's your Facebook address if anybody's interested. And you post a lot of pictures there, and then your Instagram. And,
I'm always on there.
Yeah, and make sure and follow on the. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. Association of Orthodontic Labs and the Association of Orthodontic Laboratory Professionals. Brian's in there. Been
The other one I'm pretty active with is the 3D printing orthodontic study group too.
Yeah, let me see if I can find
keep that up.
Yeah, let's see if I can find that real quick. 3D. There it is. I think I'm a member too, but I didn't know if it's going to pop up. Yeah. Oh, that's your picture, isn't it? That looks like one of the pictures you sent me.
I don't see what you're looking at.
Oh, that would help if I did that right.
Yep.
Is that your picture?
Yep, we printed some of those. That's a splitter for a ventilator. My brother's an anesthesiologist up in Boston, and I was chatting with them, and Vision Tech put this file together. There's a lot similar on it. They work they're pretty simple in design. Basically, you take the two ports coming out of the ventilator, and you split it between two patients. The problem is there's a couple of problems. One is the machine is able to. I think each patient needs 2 liters of production from the ventilator, and the most ventilator machines can produce like 16. So you can push how many patients you have on it. The problem is you can't see what each patient's getting, and you can't adjust that.
You can't monitor it.
Right. And that's really where the problem with those come from. It's a like a last ditch thing. If you've got too many people on these things and you're going to lose lives, then you can try it. Then the other problem is that so if I'm on one side of the ventilator and my daughter, who's like 110 pounds, is on the other side, it won't work. I'll overtake her, or I won't get enough. And so
she'll get too much.
Right. You have to have like-sized patients for the to use that. But yeah, it's just a last-ditch thing to try to keep people alive.
That's perfect. Good to have those in the drawer, ready for.
They'll get better. I know that Al was talking. He talked with my brother and another guy over there, and they're trying to come up with some kind of a metering system for it. I don't know how far that's going because I'm not involved in that. 7 minutes, he said there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's. See, you know how you were talking about how form always raises, and then goes back down, raises, go back. I thought that was just being edited out on all these.
No.
It's actually just slowly raising up.
Right. Yeah, you don't. I have a continuous print running right now, and you don't even see it really move up. You kind of hear it. Like you see the light come on, and it cures the thing, and then it makes like a little faint grunt. You don't even see it move up.
Faint grunt.
It's so slight. It's an impressive thing.
It looks like Vision Tech is going to be a very well. If you're going to buy one, and you're going to want to do a lot of things, it looks like.
It's even if you have a few. For dentures, if I was doing a lot of dentures, I'd like to have 2, just so I don't have to change out the resin bed. The point of taking them off like that, this resin is really expensive, and if I take it off like that, I don't waste any resin that's left on the build plate from when it was in the liquid.
So is it?
I can just press go again.
Oh, you don't have to take the build plate off and then scrape it with a razor blade.
Right. They just come off nice and clean. I put them in the alcohol bath and I let the next print go.
Oh, that's okay.
So the production that we're going to have to come up with for this is in the millions. So we're not just trying to do 500 for this hospital or that. But one hospital, the first hospital I delivered to this week, they wanted 2,400 of them, and that took
Wow.
That was 6 prints to get all together. From other reports I hear, they're going to be wanting a lot of these.
Well, and going back to what I was talking about before, his call out for users, Al, of this, like, hey, who out there can use your downtime to print some of these swabs to get testing kits, and it looks like he can go nationwide. He's like, here, I'm going to send you some resin and a file and get busy.
Pretty much. It was, I part of it was right place, right time. I saw that he wanted it. I had been talking with Al a lot since I got the printer anyway. And I had the right resin, I had the right machine, and I was close enough. So there was, that was good. But it was what brought everything together was I was willing to work all night long sometimes to get these done. And it was not easy to to keep cycling through.
Right.
But like I said, I had shut down the lab pretty much and had a lot of time, and it was worth taking this journey. It was definitely a journey, though.
Well, we appreciate you putting in the hours and experimenting for all of us, because I'm excited. Hopefully, I could print a couple face masks or something, and giving another avenue that we can use technology for. And
that was one of the more interesting things that came out of this. I loved doing the research and development side of it. It was something different from dentistry, and it kind of opened my eyes to this whole other. There's more that we can make out there than we know.
Yeah.
These swabs hadn't been made in a 3D printer before, and it just took some imagination, and a good product came out of it.
Yeah, and something that you feel the need, that was out there, and I did it pretty quick. And
the doctors over in Harvard, they were fast. I don't think anybody's gotten a FDA clearance that quick for something like this. So this is actually going into the body. They do trials, and I get called up that they didn't like this design, so we got to run up with a new design so that they can try it out on some more patients, or I know this one that they had, we were really happy with it because we were like, oh, we can bend it this much, and this thing is great. But we didn't think about what they did was they took it from here and they're like, oh, they break here. And I'm like, no.
Oh.
And it was just like lots of running back and forth, redesigning. Like I said, we got to 32 different tries. One night we thought that we were going to get kicked out of the whole program and that was over. But they gave us more time to come up with it. And then I think the next day, Al had a new formulation and he overnighted the bottle to me, and that was the material that worked. And then from there, it was just like 2 more design changes and we were done.
Well, that's what was great about Vision Tech being in the States. He couldn't have overnighted a bottle and done this.
The other amazing part of it too is the resin is made from materials from this country. So, because one of my worries was, if I promise a hospital that I can get them 10,000 of these, then I want to make sure I can get the material, because I already know what the limitations of the machine are, and it's how long it'll take and everything, and how much effort it'll take on my part. But if we run out of resin, there's no point. But all of it's made in this country, so they have plenty of it, and they're right now at Vision Tech, they're just printing thousands and thousands of these things.
Yeah, I can imagine. But then they, because of their printer and being in so many labs across the nation, they got little hubs that can print and hot shot a hospital that needs testing kits.
Reminded me of Honda started out in a weird way, the motorcycle company.
Yeah.
They started selling these little engines that you could put on a bicycle that attached to the wheels so that you didn't have to pedal your bike. And that's what happened was they made that, and every bicycle dealer that got them turned into a motorcycle dealership almost overnight. And that's kind of what happened here was anybody who had this printer now has the capability to jump on board and print these swabs for everybody who needs them. It's like an overnight new business,
right?
Just because we had that printer.
Well, and as we're going over an hour now, but as we kind of end, what's the future with this and your lab? What do you?
I'm not sure. I'm kind of a pessimist, so it's tough to. I'm not putting in too much hope that this is going to go on forever. I'm hoping that I'll be able to print these for quite a while and make some money with them. I don't know if the future means that a bigger company is going to come in and start selling them for 10 cents, and
right.
Whatever we are. I don't know what the future is going to hold. I am hopeful that it's filling that gap for now. What I do know is that it's definitely inspired me to try to do more with the different materials that we have, especially in dental, to see what else can be made. And the process was fun, and the whole experience was neat. And I don't want to lose that. That's what I want to keep going forward with, is trying new things and seeing how far this 3D printing stuff can go. That's
great to hear. And I think this whole experience is opening up a lot of eyes. It's a wrong time to close your eyes and try to hide away, but people like you that are out there trying to provide a service that's needed right now is great to hear. And I'm glad thank you so much for coming on board and discussing this process with us. I'm gonna leave it there, and hopefully in the post the echo is gone. But
towards the last half of it. But
yeah,
if people have questions, they can reach out to me on Facebook.
So I'm
always answering questions there.
So there's his labs, or if you're in those groups, Nilson Labs. If you're in the groups, look for his name, Brian Nilson, and he. Like I said, we connected because I needed him to do some laser welding for me, and then I found out you were posting all these pictures, and it piqued my curiosity.
We were quiet about it for a while. It was hard the first couple of weeks because it was exciting and we couldn't share it with anyone. And then finally, I got permission. It was like,
and nowadays the OrthoLab community, we share everything, and so I can imagine how hard it is. We do a cool design on a retainer. We're like, hey, everybody, look, and you're doing this very
top secret stuff, and it was interesting.
It would have been great probably to get some feedback and ideas from other, some of your peers that have these printers and have done some creative, unique things.
But they had good people over there working on it, and I enjoyed giving feedback and working with them with it. It was a neat experience. So hopefully this lasts for a while. At least the swab building part, not the
Well, we'll have you back on in a few weeks, and we'll see what the process is looking. Tino and Mexico saying thanks for sharing and giving us your story. I'm going to end it there so people can get back to work or whatever they're doing. But hang on until after the video, Brian, and we'll say goodbye then. Let me get to my outro here, and until then, everybody, thanks for watching. Put your comments below if you have any questions, or contact Brian if you have any questions specifically for him. Until then, happy bending, everybody.